You've wasted more nights than you dare to admit. You know it. No need to deny it. You've gone to bed with the feeling that something's off, with the certainty that today was just another chapter of the same old, and yet here you are, still repeating the same routine, waiting for change to come by itself. Let me tell you something you might not want to hear. Change is not a miracle. It's an assault. It doesn't arrive softly. It doesn't knock politely on your door. You either take it by force or it never comes. There's no middle ground. And if you keep waiting, hiding behind excuses and distractions, you'll stay exactly where you are. You have a life that doesn't fulfill you. You feel it in the depths of your chest every time you turn off the lights and face the silence. You don't need me to tell you that, but instead of doing something about it, you lie to yourself. You repeat the same lies. I'll start tomorrow. Now's not the time. First, I need to fix this or that. And so the days pass, the years pass. But listen to me. Tonight can be different. Tonight can be the turning point. Not because the universe has chosen you for something special, not because there's some magical sign waiting for you in the sky, but because you can decide it right now, without permission, without further delay. And here's where Tarantino comes in. Contrary to what you think, your story is not written in stone. You can change the script, you can rewrite the plot, you can become the protagonist instead of remaining an extra in your own movie. But there's a price. And that price is the truth. The method is brutally simple. A notebook, a pen, and the silence of the night. 3 things. That's all. You don't need a guru. You don't need another self-help book. You don't need to wait to feel motivated. You just need to sit down, take a breath, and write. Write about what you're doing wrong. No filters, no sugarcoating, no excuses. Write down the reality. Because here's the problem. You don't change because you don't dare to look at yourself with honesty. You'd rather avoid the mirror than face what you see. Nietzsche said it clearly, become who you are. But to do that, first, you need to find out who you really are. And that doesn't happen with motivational quotes or cheap positive thinking. It happens with surgical brutality. It happens with the ability to dissect every mistake, every fear, every doubt that brought you here. Dostoevsky warned us, suffering is the most powerful tool for self-knowledge, and you've been running from it. You've anesthetized it with distractions, with empty entertainment, with the false idea that if you ignore the problem long enough, it will disappear. But it won't. Change only happens when you decide to tear off your blinders and look at what's underneath. And what's underneath, if you're honest, is a mess. But here's the key. Messes can be rebuilt. Mistakes can be corrected. Stories can be rewritten. Think of Tarantino, an ordinary guy, no connections, no clear path. But he had something most people don't. An obsessive drive to tell the story he wanted to tell, and that's the key. His story. Not the one the world expected from him, not the one his circumstances seemed to dictate. His own. And you? What story are you writing? Is it yours, or is it a script imposed by others? The difference between those who change and those who stay stuck in mediocrity is simple. The first group faces themselves with the same rawness that Tarantino writes his scripts. They don't let reality off the hook. They don't sugarcoat their mistakes. They don't hide behind empty justifications. So, here's the challenge. Tonight, when everyone is asleep, when the noise of the world has disappeared, grab a notebook and write. Write without censorship. Write with no mercy. Write about everything you've been doing wrong. Every stupid decision. Every fear that has held you back. Every excuse you've used to stay still. Write until it hurts. And when it hurts, keep writing. Then, find the solutions. Don't try to justify anything. Don't tell yourself it's not that easy. Of course, it's not easy. If it were easy, everyone would do it. But here's the part they don't tell you. You don't need to solve everything tonight. You only need to make one decision. One small decision, something concrete, that you can do tomorrow to start changing course. Because if you wait until you feel ready, you'll never be ready. If you wait for the fear to disappear, it never will. The only way to kill fear is to move despite it. And the only way to change your story is to grab the pen and rewrite it with your own hands. This is the truth no one tells you. You can change your life in one night. Not because everything magically resolves immediately, but because the moment you decide to face reality without excuses, that's when everything starts to move. There's no written destiny. There's no predetermined ending. There's only the story you dare to tell, and the story you resign yourself to live. Which one will you choose? And if you've made it this far, it's because a part of you knows you have to do this. Not for inspiration, not for fleeting motivation, but because the emptiness you feel every night is the proof that something in your life isn't working. And it's not a luck problem. It's not a problem of circumstances. It's not because the world is against you. It's a problem of narrative. Your story is not writing itself. It's being written with every decision you make. And, more importantly, with every decision you avoid making. You think inaction is neutral, but it's not. Every time you postpone what you know you need to do, you're making an active decision to stay right where you are. And here comes the scary part. If you don't become the author of your story, someone else will. The expectations of others, social pressures, the routine that numbs you bit by bit. How many supporting characters do you know in real life? People trapped in jobs they hate, in relationships that don't fulfill them, in bodies they can't stand, in minds that no longer belong to them. Do you know why they're there? Because at some point they decided that it was easier not to decide, that it was more comfortable to go with the flow and convince themselves that this is just how life is. But that's the most dangerous lie of all. This is life, is what people say when they've given up on writing their own story. You need to understand this once and for all. There is not a single script written for you. There are hundreds of versions of you waiting in the shadows, and each one depends on the choices you make from now on. It could be the version that keeps doing the same things, dragging the same mistakes along, finding excuses to stay the same. Or it could be the version that grabs the pen, sits at that table, and starts dissecting every damn mistake without anesthesia. I know what you're thinking. You don't have time. You don't have energy. You don't have clarity. Lies. What you don't have is the courage to face what you know you'll find when you start writing. Because the problem isn't the lack of answers. The problem is that you already know the answers, and you don't like them. You know what you need to change. You know what you're doing wrong. You know where you're failing. But accepting it is painful. Because accepting that you've been the architect of your own misery means accepting that you could have done it differently. And that hurts. It really hurts. But here's the unexpected twist. That pain is the only exit door, the only way out of the stagnation. If you have the courage to look your life in the eye, you also have the power to change it. But most don't make it that far. Most prefer to numb themselves with distractions, with empty entertainment, with the absurd hope. That time will fix everything. Let me save you years of disappointment. Time fixes nothing unless you use it to change. It only becomes the graveyard of all the versions of you that could have been. And here's where the story takes another twist. In this transformation process, there's something people underestimate: the importance of silence. Think about the times you've truly understood something about yourself. It wasn't in the middle of the noise. It wasn't while you were scrolling through your phone, looking for one more distraction. It was in solitude, in the night, in those seconds before sleep, when there's no escape but your own mind. That's why the method demands the early hours, because the night is the only time of the day when the world stops interrupting you. It's the only time when there's no external noise. No one expects anything from you. It's the moment when you can hear yourself without interference. And here's the trick. If you're afraid to sit alone with your thoughts, it's because you know there are monsters inside. And that's exactly what you need to face. The night is your editing room. It's the time when you can cut scenes that no longer work, rewrite dialogues, change the tone of your story. You don't have to do it all in one night, but you have to start. Because every minute you spend without taking control is another minute where someone else does it for you. And if you need proof, think of Tarantino again. He didn't become a film genius because someone gave him permission. He didn't wait for the world to give him approval to start writing. He sat in a solitary room and did it, because he understood something you still haven't fully grasped. You don't need anyone's permission to rewrite your story. But there's more. Something few people tell you when they talk about personal change. Change is not just about doing the right things. It's about stopping doing the wrong things. This is where most fail. They focus so much on adding new habits, on making endless lists of goals, on promising themselves that this time they will change, that they forget the basics. First, you need to cut out what's rotten. Imagine your life is a movie you've been shooting nonstop. Bad scenes, repeated takes, moments that make no sense. Before you shoot something new, you need to edit the old. So do it. Tonight. Write. But not just about what you want. Write about what you need to let go of. That relationship that doesn't add anything. That habit that's destroying your body. That thought you repeat every day that keeps you trapped. Find them. Point them out. And do what a good director would do. Eliminate them from the story, and don't misunderstand me. This isn't magic. It's not a cheap motivation trick. It's not about writing a list and waiting for the universe to do the rest. It's about deciding, turning it into a manual for action, looking at yourself in the mirror tomorrow and knowing that, for once, even if it's just for one night, you had the courage to face yourself without masks. Because if you do this, if you really do it, something will change inside of you. It won't be immediate. It won't be easy. But the difference between a forgettable story and one that leaves a mark isn't in the protagonist's perfection. It's in his ability to change course when everything seemed lost. So, now tell me, will you keep being a secondary character in your own movie, or will you sit down tonight and start writing the role you were born for? I'm going to tell you something that probably no one has told you clearly enough. There's no turning point. There's no sign along the way that tells you, now it's the time. There's no safety net, no guarantees. There's only this night, only this decision, only this moment. And if you wait too long, if you keep procrastinating, if you keep running away, there will come a day when you'll look back and realize that there's no time left. That's the fear no one talks about. Not the fear of failing, not the fear of messing up. The real fear is waking up one day and realizing that you no longer have the margin to change, that the script is too far gone, that the opportunities have passed, that you've become what you once swore you'd never be. And worst of all, it won't be a dramatic moment. There won't be an epic soundtrack. No, it will be subtle. It will be a culmination of small decisions that, before you know it, will have built the cage where you'll spend the rest of your life. You need to make a decision now, not tomorrow, not next week. Now. Because every day you postpone is another day the world robs from you. And trust me, the world is more than happy to take the space you don't claim. If you don't decide who you are, someone else will. But here's the most brutal part. No one will come to save you. There's no secret mentor waiting for you. There's no invisible hand that will pull you out of the hole. No one's going to show up with a magic answer. The only person who can save you is you. And that shouldn't scare you. It should set you free. Because if you are the problem, you are also the solution. Look around you. The world is full of people living on autopilot. People who do the same things every day, who complain about their lives, but never do anything to change them. You can't be one of them. You can't afford to be one of them. Because if you've come this far, if you're still listening, it's because part of you knows you're not made for that mediocrity. The only difference between those who change and those who stay stuck is this. The first ones decide to act before they feel ready. They don't wait for motivation to come. They don't wait for the fear to disappear. They don't wait for everything to make sense. They act because they understand something that most people never get. Fear doesn't disappear before you begin. It disappears along the way. So close your eyes for a second. Visualize this. Tomorrow you wake up and everything is the same. Same excuses, same problems, same routine. A month goes by. A year goes by. 10 years go by. You're still in the same place. What do you feel? If that thought twists your stomach, then you already have your answer. You can't keep waiting. You can't keep postponing. Break time, ones. Tonight, grab that pen, open that notebook, and face the reality. Write what you've been avoiding writing. Take the time to dissect every one of your excuses. Do it with the brutality of a director who isn't afraid to cut scenes that no longer work. Because at the end of the day, there are only two types of people in this world. Those who write their story, and those who let others write it for them. Which one will you be? If this video made you think, if there was a phrase that stuck with you, I want you to leave it in the comments. Write, "I'm rewriting my story." Because if you made it this far, it's because a part of you has already made the decision, even if you don't know it yet. And if you want more content like this, subscribe. But only if you're really ready to face the truth. There's no soft content here. We go raw. We go real. If you're still here, it's because you're looking for something more. Now go. Write. No more excuses. And remember, you own your mind.